So welcome to the seventh slot of our digital week. We have 3 more coming up still, but now today we have live with me here, Gudrun Sander, our expert and the chef of the Competence Center for Diversity and Inclusion at the University of St. Gallen, and expert for these topics. So I won't hold you any longer. Gudrun, the floor is yours, and I disappear on this side.
Okay. Thank you very much, Julio. Yes, good morning, everyone. A warm welcome from my side. My name is Gudrun Sander. I'm a adjunct professor of business administration with a special emphasis on diversity management here at the University of St. Gallen, and the director of the Competence Center for Diversity and Inclusion. The title of today's, or the overall arching title today, is Why Structures Matter. Why did we choose this title? Because this year, you certainly know that we have the 50th anniversary of the women's right to vote here in Switzerland. And this is a structural improvement, or was a structural improvement. So having a new law, having new rights for women. And the same holds for companies, for example. If we look at processes like recruiting processes, promotion processes, if we do changes here, this impacts the whole equality topic. So it's, from our experience over the last 20 years, it's not enough, for example, to do an unconscious bias training. Yes, that's important. But at the same time, it's necessary that the companies work on their processes, on their structures internally as well to improve equality. So today we want to focus on the question of recruiting and using the internal talent pool. And I'm very happy to welcome with me in this session Matthias Bomatter from Zurich Insurance. He is a Leadership and Future at Work Program Manager at Zurich. And together we want to have a closer look at the practical implications, a new tool, the virtual career advisor Zurich Insurance have in place, and on the other hand, combine it with our research findings. So, Matthias, I would like to give you a few minutes to introduce yourself in more detail.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gudrun, for the quick introduction. As you said, my name is Matthias Bomatter. I'm with Zurich for around 6 years now, and I'm working mainly around the topics of leadership development. I'm there responsible for the leadership development program for our young leaders. And the other big piece is the question on how can we support our business, how can we support our customers to manage and navigate these challenging time right now in COVID, but also in a broader sense in how to navigate the digital disruption and the workplace of the future. And here, and we will talk later about it more in depth. And here is the virtual career advisor is one of these pieces that brings both together.
Yeah, we are very curious about your insights and your experiences so far. You already tackled the question of a lot of employees feel very unsecure about the future of work and how they can keep up with all the competencies needed in the future. And I would like to start with a first poll question to you, dear audience, and ask you, how do you feel about the future workplace? Do you feel you are prepared for the new challenges, the new competencies needed, or do you feel quite unsecure? So, Julio, may I ask you to put in the first question for our audience? Do you feel prepared for the future workplace? Only one answer is possible here. Yeah, the answers are coming in. Great. Give you a few more seconds. Okay, yeah. Yeah, we have a quite positive mood here in our online session. That's really good to hear. So most of the people feel prepared to a certain extent, around 60%, and the quarter feels fully prepared for the future of work, and still around a fifth is unsure, or they do not feel prepared at all. So Matthias, may I ask you the next question? What was the trigger for this project, for the virtual career advisor, to start this project and go in this direction? Can you give us a little bit of the history of the development?
Of course, and please let me let me expand for a little bit. We here in the insurance industry, we had a good run the last 150 years. We're still having a good run, but now we feel there are three main drivers that impact us now, especially. First, different customer expectations. A customer now tell us how they would like to interact with us. It's not just go to an office, but they feel the need, like with Zalando or Galaxus, to have a way to interact with us all the time. The second driver, technology and data. I think this should be obvious due to devices like smartphones, but also analytics and AI capabilities. We and the whole industry can now do things that weren't possible or even imaginable before. So there are new business areas and opportunities emerging. And the third driver is the way we collaborate together is changing as well. Of course, COVID, now it seems obvious. It's normal now, one day later, that we do a session like this in this environment. I'm able to do this at home, but also we feel and realize the old pyramids, the old hierarchical structure is not useful to solving the modern problems. And all these drivers impact us massively at the moment. We have a lot of projects going on to face these challenges, and then our employees tell us, and that's what we hear a lot, that they see, yes, I need to change. I need to have new skills. I need to develop myself. I need to take ownership about my career. But they feel that they do not have enough guidance. They read a lot. Every day you open the papers, there is like a new article. These are the 10 skills of the future. The robots are coming for our jobs, etc., etc. And this was the main starting point for our project, that we thought or we think we need to give our employees more guidance. And one reaction out of that was our Future of Work manifesto, where we had like 5 pillars: customer expectations, commitment to internal skills and competencies, or we want to build up our talent pool, lifelong learning, a modern work environment, and our commitment to the environment and society as a whole. So this is now a centerpiece in our strategy to become a purpose-driven organization and to help our employees to take ownership about their development. And the virtual career advisor is one piece how we do it. But as we mentioned, we use or want to use the VCA for recruiting. But so my question to you, what are some of the pitfalls in traditional recruiting that you know of and that we could possibly avoid with this new tool?
Yeah, that's a good question, because we know, of course, from research that there are a lot of pitfalls in the traditional recruiting processes. I'm only thinking about the biases, for example. So one of my favorites is the similarity bias. You know, we tend to evaluate people that are like us more favorably. Mm-hmm. And this leads then in the long run to more homogeneous groups. On the other hand, maybe you also have seen the ETH study lately. It came out a few months ago, where they looked at platforms and what happens with candidates with foreign sounding names, especially before lunchtime and when it comes to the end of the working day. So the persons with the foreign sounding names, they have less opportunities or less chances to be contacted. And this is, of course, only due to the stress level we are all in, and we already think about what we do after work, for example, and do not read the CVs, for example, properly, and therefore miss out a lot of talent. But what you also already mentioned in a short sentence is the use of the internal talent pool, because what we also realize is that it's very difficult for the line managers, for example, to oversee the potential of a whole company like Zurich Insurance, for example. You know the people you meet, and more or less direct reports, you have an idea what the potential is, but above this, you usually do not know the people and only see them in their functions, have no idea what they could also do. So what do you think now, if I just summarize here a very limited overview of research concerning pitfalls in the recruiting process? Do you have the feeling the VCA can improve the situation here, and especially where?
Yes, I totally do. I think that one of the big areas is the missing out on talent, and we all know this. We are more than our current job, and we are even more than our last few jobs. But when we look into a company today, and then you as an employee are only seen as a job, and you only the skills you use in this job are recognized. And I think this is a lot of wasted talent, of wasted opportunity. And on the other hand, we are faced with a skill shortage. There are some studies out there, especially in the ICT area, that by 2026 there will be around 40,000 less people available that there would be jobs. So it's in our interest to develop and help our people develop these skills internally. So this brings us back to the VCA. The VCA, just quickly, and we see now a short video, or afterwards a short video. What is it exactly? The VCA is developed by a startup here in Zurich, People Analytics, and they crawled the job market, the job ads in the last 10 years. They have now millions of job ads in their database, and they now can tell, for example, a talent manager 10 years ago was searched, the job role was searched with these 10 skills. Today in the market, a talent manager is searched with these skills. So some of them will be the same, some of them will have changed, of course. And they can now, with their data model, show how job roles develop themselves over time, and how the market is, or how in demand in the market these roles and skills are. So this is the databases. And now, as our employees can log into the virtual career advisor, and the first thing they have to do is they have to enter their individual skill profile. So they maybe take a CV, read it, then the VCA is giving them recommendations. According to your CV, you have these skills, you can click on it, you can rate them, and then you can add even more skills. And this is what we encourage our employees to do. Think about your hobbies, think about what you're passionate about, think about what you did in another life. We have many people that changed jobs, but these skills that they had in a previous area of work, they are still important and could be very, very beneficial to us. So and through doing this, we as a company, we have a more transparent and more realistic view on what skills of the employees there are, and the other way around. Our employees can show us at Zurich, hey, I have these skills. I was a teacher once. This could be helpful someday. And this is the main feature of the VCA. And I think before we talk more, I think it would be best to see how.
Yeah, to give a short insight how it works. Would be great if we can just get a clue how the VCA really looks like.
The video is around 2 minutes long. Enjoy.
Okay. Video is up and running. Yeah.
Welcome to the People Analytics platform demonstration. We will provide you with an overview of how the platform works. First, we will cover the employee journey and the creation of the skill passport. This is your dashboard. You have multiple options to add skills. You can add skills by selecting a job title and further selecting proposed skills. These can then be validated by choosing expertise level and whether you like and want to improve the skill. You can also add skills by uploading a document. This can, for example, be your CV. After this, we extract skills, and you can add these again and validate them like previously. The third way is to directly add a skill manually. As you could see, some skills are marked with the Zurich logo. These are Zurich-specific skills. If you already have a skill, you will get notified and asked to select another skill. You also have skill suggestions based on your coworkers' skills. You can also add these directly from the dashboard. If you previously selected skills but did not validate these yet, you can find them here and do this later. Every added skill counts in your skill total. This is your skill profile. Here you can see your skills and get more detailed information about them. We provide market data like the replaceability of a skill or the demand for a skill on the labor market. If you want, you can even add a personal note. Next, we will explore career opportunities where your skills are matched with the available opportunities. There are multiple categories to explore. For each opportunity, you will be shown a matching score and more details concerning which skills you already have and which you miss. In case you actually have one of the missing skills, you can immediately add it and your matching score will adapt accordingly. Internal vacancies represent the currently open positions at Zurich. If an opportunity interests you, you can follow it and get more information and access the job description.
Yeah, that was the video. I think one important note that you saw, and this is, I think, important to underline, it's self-reported skills. So our employees are fully empowered to enter their skill profile, enter rating, how they see fit, and just this process of thinking about what skills they have shows us when we get feedback that this alone helps the people to see, oh, I know so much more than I thought. What do you think regarding self-reporting skills?
Yeah, I have some, of course, some research results here and also some ideas, but I would like to ask our audience first what they think about self-reporting and self-evaluation. So, Giulio, could you give us the second poll question, please? I'm very interested what you think about this. So what challenges do you see when employees evaluate their own skills, like we have seen now with the VCA in a sense of self-reporting? And you can choose here multiple answers. Very interesting. Yeah.
I don't see the result.
Yeah, just a few seconds, then we share the results. Okay, here they are. Yeah, I would say the majority sees challenges here. So only 6% say, I don't see any challenge at all. There seems to be the impression that women, for example, tend to evaluate themselves more critically than men. Also differences when it comes to nationalities. Yeah, a little bit more than half would also suggest to integrate the supervisor's evaluation. And then the question of tweaking a little bit your self-evaluation because you fear that you could have negative impacts. Great. Yeah, I would like to. I mean, when I see these results, there are some studies we did that come to my mind. For example, with a large international company, we looked at the performance and potential evaluations, and here, of course, it was the perspective of the supervisor, but it holds also for the self-evaluation perspective. And we saw differences when it came to women and men, and also when it came to different nationalities. But it was not that much that several nationalities, for example, over or under rate their performance or potential, or in this case, the potential of their employees. It was more the situation of the majority and minority group. And this was very interesting because just to give you a precise example, when the majority, because it was a large company, we had a lot of data, and we had the possibility also to compare, for example, foreigner-dominated business units with Swiss-dominated business units. And what we have seen there is that when, for example, the Swiss are the majority, then the foreigners tend to be very strict with their peers. So they evaluate their peers then more harshly. And also the other way around, when the foreigners are the dominant, the majority group, then the Swiss are very strict with their evaluations concerning their peers or their subordinates in this case. So it was not that much the question of a nationality per se, or the same holds for gender, but who is the majority group in a business unit and who is the minority group. And the minority group always tended to be more strict, more harshly in their evaluation. So, and of course, I'm asking you then back, do you have any experiences with this kind of effects? So minority, majority evaluations, but also especially with the gender question that was had the most, well, the highest voting, so to say, that people fear that women are more critical with their competencies. And we know from a lot of research studies that this tends to be the case.
I think the question we certainly experienced is in terms of difference between men and women, how not necessarily how they rate themselves, but do they feel empowered to really apply for a job, or just look at it? Okay, I see 10 things I can do, then 1 or 2 things I can't, and then it's the question, or we still feel that women then say, yeah, well, no, that's not for me, whereas men tend more to say, yes, I can.
Let's try. Yeah.
And this is one thing that we want to avoid with the career advisor, because we can now have a job and we can reverse search and show us the matching people within the company, and have with this tool at least a way to maybe talk to some people. Hey, have you considered this job? So we can can do more active internal sourcing to avoid this selection bias, and also it's not only the best networkers that come to mind when we think about, okay, who could be a good fit for this job. Another point I think it's important that I want to touch on is this. When you have a technology or a tool like that, people, and I always find this funny, and then it's the absolute truth. And I think it's quickly important to remember this tool gives you more data, and you still need to talk to the people. You still need to have these conversations, and not only then see, okay, I have a job, I have someone that matches 90%, okay, he's hired or she is hired, and then move on. And I see this a lot with the VCA, that people believe these matching percentages as the absolute truth, and it's just one more piece of the puzzle. And I think this is important, how we should look at technologies like that. They cannot replace the human interactions, the having conversations.
Yeah, that's a very important point you make, that we have to keep in mind it's only a tool, and at the end of the day, it's a human decision behind. I just want to ask you another question, because that's probably one of the questions you receive quite often, and I also see a tendency here in the chat that don't you have any problems with employees then manipulating their profiles that they fit to the required competencies at the end of the day?
This is by far
you're laughing. I know you get these questions.
This is by far my absolute favorite question. Because when I in the company first have this, where I talk about this project, then the eyes of the managers get wide and say, oh my God, what is if people cheat the system? And this brings me back to the point I made before. Yes, of course, I can look at a job. I see, okay, this is what's needed. Then I build exactly the same profile. I have 100% match. And then, so what? I will get interviewed, and then it will be very quickly discovered that I have no idea what I'm talking about. And then you're back to square one. And by the way, this is not a new problem.
Yeah.
In a very, very old school CV, I can build a CV that fits the job perfectly. I get interviewed. Then they see, well, he has no idea what he's talking about. So this is one of the biggest problems that pop up. But when you think about it, it's not really a problem. I see the opposite, actually, that people undervalue and underrate their skills because they don't want to be discovered as a fraud. So I think, especially here in Switzerland, where it's still weird to say, I'm good at this, I'm an expert at that. I see the other problem. How do we get people, especially women or people of minorities, to feel empowered and feel confident, and that they can hold their hand up and say, I think I can do this job. And I think this is the question. And here I think the VCA can certainly help to discover more of these talents, and then talk to them. Hey, would you like to be interested? And not only and not just replacing like the old employees by more of the same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, this is not a new problem. And I have seen a lot of CVs, and then if you talk to people, you find out usually, might not be what they want to look like. You also said, if I remember correctly, that AI plays a role here because you feed the VCA with data from the market with requirements or competencies needed from the ads. And of course, we see there is a lot of potential using AI here to make recruiting fairer. But on the other hand, there are also a lot of challenges, because AI can only work as good as the data base is used here. So I know you probably know the cases of Amazon, for example, or other companies where they, of course, had really challenges with bad data, or the quality of the data was already biased, that was feed into the system, and then the biases even increase very, very quickly. Do you have experiences here with the VCA?
Yeah, I think it's certainly important to just not just replace. You take your job ad and then you put it into a internal role in the VCA, and then you have your role with 20 skills you need. I think it's to be really critical to look at these skill sets and ask yourself, is it still relevant? Is there something that we could take out? We as Zurich, we now move to shorter job ads anyway, with less bullet points, because we realized that with less bullet points, more people feel empowered to apply themselves, and I think this is an important piece that we have in mind, and we keep in mind, that we cannot just replace a traditional recruiting system and feed it with the same data that is maybe just because of the list of requirements or whatever is repeating these biases. So this is something we are and mindful, and we continue to be.
Yeah, and probably it needs some more time to get experience here.
Yeah.
I can imagine. Yeah. Another question, Matthias, before we open then for the audience is, again, from the employee side, because you can draw the conclusion that Big Brother is watching you now, in a sense of you reveal all your deficits maybe, or the weaknesses you have, of course, also the strengths. Can you say anything about this point of employability and the potential fears of the employees?
Yeah, this is.
Do they really reveal? Do they use the VCA?
Yeah. This is my personal, or our personal biggest obstacle, and it's funny, again, it's not a technological problem. It almost never is. It's a cultural problem. It's a problem revolving around questions. Yeah, how will this be used in the next reorganization, or will there be people selected according to this profile? Do I get fired if I do not have enough future skills? And we don't do that. We really use it as a tool to empower and having the employee in the driver's seat of their career. But it's a question of culture, fear, and I think this is also the key success criteria for a project like that. Can you build a culture where employees trust you as a company and trust you as a project lead to not do bad things with this data? Because yes, the data is there, and yeah, so it's regarding culture, and we certainly have this challenge. I get this question a lot. People are hesitant to fill out the profile, and we have a huge drop off between people who had the opportunity and people who actually fill out a profile, and this is something we have to work on. But I'm confident that we at Zurich are on the right track for sure.
Yeah, I would say trust is probably the key word here. If you have a culture of trust, people feel empowered to really reveal their profiles and fill it out. Yeah. Definitely. And if it's not, then the best tool does not bring any improvement. Yeah. So the proverb, culture eats strategy for breakfast, also holds here for culture eats new tools for breakfast, of course. Absolutely. If the culture is not prepared. But a last question. I think it's my last question now, and then we open up. Because where I see a huge potential also with the VCA is that we look different at the criteria, for example, for special positions. I mean, what we all aware of is that in the German-speaking area, we tend to overestimate expertise as a competency, especially when it comes to leadership positions, where we need a lot of more competencies, general management competencies like negotiation, lobbying, motivating people, solving conflicts, etc. And expertise is, yes, it's important, but in my perspective, we still overestimate expertise, especially experience in a special industry very much. Do you see any advantage here with the VCA, that we get a broader view of what exactly is necessary from the competency side for different jobs, especially, for example, leadership positions?
Absolutely, absolutely. We in insurance, we come from a business area where traditionally the best expert gets promoted to team lead and so on. We have still many of the very traditional careers within Zurich, and this is the same for other insurance companies as well. And here with the VCA, we really can broaden the picture and select more in terms of people skills, negotiation, as you mentioned, or other skills that could be beneficial in a leadership role. And we as Zurich, we want to also move away from looking at the technical skills, but also at the emotional intelligence and all these human skills, because and we know this all as well. The half-life of knowledge and technical skills it's getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and it's quicker to teach someone how to program than to teach someone how to be open about new ideas. So there is a general shift, not only with this VCA tool, but also I think in recruitment to move away from just we need the best experts and we recruit people because they have the knowledge, but the mindset and openness to new things, integrative thinking, and all these kind of skills are getting more important, and now we have a way to search and look for them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So from the external perspective, to summarize this, you would say you hire a special mindset and then you train people at the end of the day on special skills. That's the easier.
This is at least the target. We are not there.
Yeah.
This is the target.
Yeah, I see. Mm-hmm. Okay, I think I will summarize here for a moment and open up then for the questions of our audience. And to close, I have heard at least three key takeaways from the VCA I would keep in mind. So, and also for you, three things maybe to take away from this online session. The first I've heard is transparency. And this is like a prerequisite for a better use of the internal talent, so that we don't have only the good networkers on the radar, but have a better overview over the potential of our whole staff. Then the second key takeaway I would say was to have a closer look at the team fit. We can also go into more details in the Q&A session here. So not only hire from an individual perspective, but also have like the team in mind and look what is missing, what competencies are missing, and then again, have more than the good networkers on the radar. And the third key takeaway, we just mentioned at the end of our talk, was corporate culture is the key challenge and usually not the tool itself. So that we don't forget, it's really, again, we have to work on the culture as well as on the processes and structure. Yeah, thank you. Then I would open up for the questions of the audience, and also a warm welcome to my teammates, Alexandra Rappo and Nicole Niedermann, who support us here today. And Alexandra, you have the overview of the questions, and I would ask you to pose the first questions either to Matthias or me or the both of us, depending on the content of the question.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Gudrun and Matthias, first for this interesting presentation. There are some very interesting questions, and I will start with the first one. What should recruiters do? I've noticed a lot of biases, especially in the consulting companies, where they tend to recruit always the same profiles. And regarding this same question, there is another one. How to ensure a more inclusive recruitment process for everybody?
Yeah. Should I start, Matthias? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So from a more general perspective here, and especially with the consulting industry, yeah, that's I have a similar perception here. The profiles are very similar. And if we come back to Matthias' last statement, where he said, yeah, we hire a special mindset, a special attitude, and then train the skills. There is always, from a diversity perspective, a challenge to look at, on the one hand, we call it deep level diversity traits, like the mindset, for example, the values, and so on. And on the other hand, the surface level diversity dimensions like gender, age, nationality, etc. And we know from research that especially the deep level diversity traits are more important for the future collaboration of a team. So I always bring this example. You have a perfect photo of an executive board. They look very diverse at first sight, but yes, they have all studied at the University of St. Gallen, for example. So the mindset might be quite similar. And at the end of the day, there is not a lot of difference. And this holds especially for the consulting companies. And I have talked to several line managers there and recruiters also, and what they now do, for example, they open up their recruiting channels. So this is a first step to not only hire from the University of St. Gallen, of course, that's good for our students, but also open up for other universities of applied science, also for different study fields. I remember, so yeah, I'm close to 60 now, and I remember 20, 30 years ago, the companies, especially the consulting companies, were very open. They hired people from medicine, from philosophy, sociology, and so on, and trained them then on the special skills they need for the consulting projects. And I think we have to come back to this kind of hiring. So open up the channels would be a first one. The second one is, of course, the recruiters, they must have a unconscious bias training in my mind. So to be aware of their patterns, what are their preferences, you know, when they look at CVs, or also during the interviews. You know, we have a lot of trainings we do with companies where we do role plays, for example. And the recruiters always have their aha moments, because they realize, oh yeah, this behavior just, I have a curtain down, and then I don't listen to the person because whatever is the reason. So to be aware of the biases, the patterns you have is very important. Open up the channels, I would say, and then make sure that the recruiting process is over several steps, including different people, so that not only two have a look at the CVs and decide at the end of the day, so that you have like different steps. This is an opportunity. I mean, you could also change the whole process to give you an idea. So do not ask for the CV and the motivation letter and whatever, the references in a first step. But for example, ask several questions, decide, then make a first decision who is invited, for example, for a cognitive assessment or whatever is suitable, depending on the jobs you want to hire, the functions you want to fill in. And only in a third step, ask for a CV. And also be aware of references, or how to say, that the CV, of course, what we discussed before, also the CVs might be adjusted to the requirements, and do not give the full picture of a person. And with today's possibilities, with short interviews, online interviews, very short ones, I think you can complete like a impression of a person, not only depending on the CV. So this was a very long answer. Sorry, Matthias. Do you have anything to add from your experience here?
No, I think a lot of things you mentioned is Zurich already doing and trying to do. And just one example, our graduate program, the Zurich trainee program, is recruiting from all different kind of schools. And last year, this is something I just remembered. We have someone from the Hotelfachschule in Lausanne, so something completely off left field, and this is always very beneficial for our graduates and then the way they move through the company.
Yeah, thank you. Alexandra, do you have another question for us?
Yes, I have another one. The next one is more for Matthias. Is there a section in the VCA on recruiting potential values instead of experience? And if yes, how could that be illustrated?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the recruitment piece in the VCA, it looks only at the skills and the skill levels. So there is no information box where an employee is putting in this and this many years of experience within a field or within a job. Or we just look which skills do he or she have, what are the requirements and the skill levels, and then there is a matching percentage, and then we could potentially have an interview or a discussion and talk, and so we really take the experience out of the equation. Of course, when you then have a talk with someone, you could have a quick look at what's the work history. And I know this creates other problems, but we want to move away from you have to have at least 10 years in this area before you can move forward, especially for again women who maybe had to pause their work experience, or also men who did this as well. So I think it's more modern, not to have these huge experience requirements. Experience is important, of course, but when we focus on the skills first, we hope that it can take out of this some of this bias towards just experience and having the right steps, and because this recreates the traditional career paths in my opinion. So we also want to facilitate cross-functional moves. You start in the claims area, then you go to underwriting, and then you do maybe some sales, because we realize that our company hugely benefits from people who have experience in different areas, and not just this underwriting career or this sales career or this claims handling career.
And especially value questions come then into place during the interviews, I assume.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. What would you see as a new future necessary competencies employees should be able to execute and develop?
Mm-hmm.
This one is for both of you.
Matthias, I think it's better you start here.
Okay.
From the insurance perspective, maybe.
I get this question asked a lot, and I have a background as a psychologist, and that's why half of the answer makes me really happy. I think all these human interaction skills are important. The negotiation. I think listening is the key skill number one. Giving feedback, being emotional intelligent, knowing yourself, knowing your emotions, how to deal with them, and all these communication skills. Super important. And then there's the other cluster, of course, technical skills, artificial intelligence, big data, analytics, machine learning, etc. But I think if you focus on one of those, you are pretty fine in terms of the near future, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would totally agree here. And of course, depending on a special function, it might vary a lot.
Of course.
Maybe we can go on to, let's say, one or two other questions before we close the session.
Yes, there is one regarding self-evaluation. What are the pitfalls when women and men evaluate differently?
Yeah. I mean, we already talked about some of the examples. Again, I would also have a closer look from the data analytics side in the background, maybe for you, Matthias. Women in business units where they are the minority, do you see any differences to business units where they are the majority? Because that's, to our research experience, a very impactful driver here. And of course, I mean, you will evaluate anyway during this journey. Do you see differences? Of course, when you speak then to the potential candidates that they under-evaluate themselves, like significantly overall over the whole group. Of course, I could imagine here also some learning nuggets, you know, on the way when you work with the VCA. So to integrate, like, yeah, be aware of that you as a woman might be more critical concerning your competencies, or also sensitize the supervisors again. I don't know, do you, Matthias, also use self-evaluation not only in this tool, but in the whole process of performance and potential evaluations with the supervisors? So are the employees asked to do like a self-evaluation first, and then the supervisor gives his or her evaluation, and they are combined to a final evaluation in the whole process? Or how is the overall performance and potential evaluation process?
Yeah, that's a really good and important question. And I mentioned before, the VCA and the data is the employees, and nobody can change the rating. But of course, in our performance and development cycle, our year-long process, we have several discussions where you get feedback. Our employees are encouraged to share your skill profile with your manager, discuss it. And in our experience, it helps even have deeper, more meaningful feedback conversations, because you don't talk about the last 3 weeks and the general performance, but you talk about certain skills. Then you see, project management, someone gave themselves 1 star, and then the manager can say, hey, wait, but you successfully rocked this project last year and the year before as well. This is at least 2 or 3 stars. And then the employee takes back this information, and he can himself or herself change the rating. But there is no technological process where you send your profile to the manager and he approves. It's done again. It's about talking to people. It's still in this digital age, but this is how the process works, of course.
So you don't have the possibility to, for example, extract the self-evaluation separately and then analyze it by gender, for example, or nationality or whatever.
We could do that, but we haven't done it.
Okay.
But what we do at Zurich, we have this EDGE certification about gender equality, and what we already do, we do assessment of the pay. Are there differences between men and women, between business areas, between different career levels, and they are no differences. And we have this EDGE certificate. We are the first in the finance industry in Switzerland to have that, and we do this yearly to do this internal audit. So something that was a few months ago, also politically mandated. We already are doing this as of right now, and this helps, of course.
Yeah. This is more from the wage side, but I would really highly recommend look at the performance and potential evaluations from this point of view, and we are happy to help if you need any support.
I will talk to my data guy.
Yeah, because there's so much more information in the data you already have, and I think you can use it in this direction. I would pick out the question. I do not see all the questions. Sorry to interfere here, Alexandra, but one is very interesting, and maybe Matthias can give us like a first insight here or some experiences concerning job mobility so far. Do you see any positive effect on job mobility so that employees go to different business units, business functions, or is it too early to answer this question and we come back to you in 2 years maybe?
It's rather early, to be honest, but what we already having is around 50% of our promotions are internal promotions, and we want to even build on that. So we already have a culture in place where we try to hire internally first. We have a rule in place that an external candidate has to be significantly bring more value to the company than a internal one. So internal candidates have a head start, and I think this really benefits our culture and what we try to achieve also with our future of work manifesto, and we really live it, and but of course we can get better. We want to improve, and specifically for the VCA, I think it's too early to have a causal relationship between the VCA and the internal moves. But I'm happy to report back to you in 2 years.
Yeah, very much looking forward here. And again, from the research side, as a last statement, internal promotions are better for more diversity in a company. So my colleagues, Winfried Ruikrock and others have published an article here on better the devil you know, because you have like the cultural fit internally already, and then the risk is less to bring a more diverse person, for example, to a special leadership position. So I also would say from the research side, using the internal talent pool more is the better choice than external hiring. I come to the end here. We are already done, and thank you very much for the lively discussions. Thank you, Matthias, for giving us the insights on this new tool, great tool, and we are very curious to hear back maybe in 1 or 2 years what was the impact then on Zurich Insurance. I want to hand over to Giulio to give an outlook for the rest of the week. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gudrun. Hi, everybody again. So this week we still have now the final 3 slots coming up. Come on, this one we had already, and this one is right now. So the next one being in this afternoon, the human and machine team performance, which speaks about, okay, now you hired someone, perhaps internally, not externally necessarily, and you have means to measure how this team is working. Like we're speaking about AI here, about technology being used for not only evaluating you saying your skills are good, perhaps your team evaluating the team performance, and a machine seeing if there is some kind of alignment there. Example, all the teams that do dailies, they are all happier. They all click that they're happier, that everything works nicely. People that have 2 hours meetings every day, they say, no, we are not doing well. So how do you do that? This is this afternoon, so check it out. And tomorrow we have we go away from this aspect. We go to actually to the future of technologies, and Julius in the front. No problem. We have the smart mobility revolution, meaning what is coming up. It's not only about electric auto cars and self-driving stuff. We're speaking about thinking really new ways to go about moving ourselves from one place to the other. We already started that with gender mobility this week. Now we're going for the bigger picture on tomorrow. And in the afternoon, we do the same, but this time focusing on a new topic for the Digital Week that I'm bringing now, because we now have people that do that at the University of St. Gallen as well, which is health and technology. What's the future of technology here and for our heart and brains and, psychology too. So thank you very, very much. This was an awesome session. I was sure of it anyway. Gudrun is one of our veterans here in the webinars that I promote. So looking forward to you in the further sessions. And don't forget, for those that ask, oh, but we're recording and the presentations, the recordings are available next week. But sometimes they are already there. I believe 4 of them are already done. And you can find them on the same web page that you can register for it. Okay.